Hello, I'm Steve Saul. Welcome to North West Today. The headlines this Tuesday lunchtime. Campaign in Violet's name for tougher dangerous driving sentences moves a step closer as her killer could soon be released. Life after lockdown, the Lakes hotels and B&Bs hoping for a bumper summer. And one of the most stunning railway journeys in Britain, now the Settle to Carlisle lines hoping to kickstart the local economy. Former Prime Minister Theresa May will be introducing a private member's bill in Parliament today, asking for tougher sentences for people who kill by dangerous driving. It follows a campaign by the parents of 4-year-old Violet Grace Ewens from St Helens, who was killed in a hit-and-run in 2017. Kelly Foran's been speaking to her dad today.
A happy, helpful and beautiful little girl. But Violet Grace's life was cut short by a speeding driver racing through the streets of St Helens at more than 80 miles per hour. The driver stepped over her body and ran away. Aidan McAteer was eventually found and jailed for 9 years and 4 months, but he could be out as soon as next year.
It's insulting, really. As I say, the justice system and all that stuff, it's not fit for purpose. It doesn't. There's not one person that says, "Oh, I think he got enough time." Everyone says they can't believe how little time he's got, and we've not even got ourselves in a better place, and we're already a plan for him getting out of prison.
Her parents have fought hard for Violet's law to bring in tougher sentences. Their petition got enough signatures for it to trigger a debate in Parliament, but that was last year. This afternoon, Theresa May, who was Prime Minister at the time, will introduce it as a private member's bill.
So I'm very grateful that she has brought this forward, because in fact she's saying, where is this? Why is this happening? And she's coming forward and asking it. The maximum sentence is 14 years, but very rarely is that given, actually.
We understand these things take time and stuff and everything with the current situation that's happening. We understand it, well, it takes time, but we still think it's taking too long. You know, there's so many things you've seen throughout this pandemic. There's so many laws and things that can change and put in place within a few days. So this could have been done sooner, and while it hasn't, other people have lost their lives.
Kelly Foran, BBC North West Today.
Blackburn with Darwen Council's taking more control of the system to trace contacts of people who've tested positive for coronavirus. A local team will visit people at their homes who've tested positive. Blackburn with Darwen now has the highest infection rate in the country.
One of the problems is if the confirmed case, somebody that's gone through the system being confirmed as positive, if they don't pick the phone up, the contact tracing system doesn't get their list of contacts. Those contacts then wander around. Some of them will be infected, and that's a method of transmission.
Blackpool Council's appointed its first ever female leader. Councillor Lynn Williams will replace Simon Blackburn at the head of the council. He resigned in June pending an investigation into an allegation from a woman about his behaviour, which he denies. Temporary repairs to the dam at Tobruk Reservoir should be finished in the next few weeks. Whaley Bridge was evacuated for a week last year after part of the dam wall collapsed due to flooding. Permanent repairs will take around 3 years to complete. Now, hoteliers in the Lake District are hoping for a bumper summer of staycations to help them recoup the losses caused by the pandemic. They faced increased costs due to COVID-19, and while bookings have improved, they say the tourism industry faces tough times ahead. With the second of his reports on life in the lakes after lockdown, here's Peter Marshall.
If you compare Bowness Bay as it was back in March to how it is now, it's clear life is returning after lockdown. The crowds might be coming back, but life is very different for all those whose livelihoods depend on tourism. The Lowood Bay Resort and Spa has 131 rooms. Each and every one now has a new cleaning regime, including this so-called fogging machine with its antibacterial spray. Cleaned and sanitised rooms, sealed for the next visitor.
It probably adds about an hour's extra cleaning onto a room. So we've had to really stick to the 3 o'clock check-in. We used to try and keep it that we could do a bit beforehand. We need the time now, and the time which makes it safe for everybody.
The Lowood should have hosted over 60 weddings this year. Because of COVID-19 restrictions, only a scaled-down handful will take place.
You know, you're circa a £250,000 worth of business just not going to happen this year, that we need to recoup some other way. But with the current restrictions, it's going to be a struggle.
From the big hotels to B&Bs, the story is the same. The pandemic has increased uncertainty and costs. For Sharon Rush, it's a double headache. She runs the Gables B&B in Ambleside, but also a restaurant.
Everything has had to change, from the technical side of things to the actual physical side. You know, what do we keep in rooms? What equipment do we need? What PPE do we need?
This summer has to be successful, with the government's furlough scheme due to be phased out in the autumn.
It's been incredibly helpful, otherwise we would have had mass redundancies.
Peter Marshall, BBC North West Today, Ambleside.
Now, dedicated train service is hoping to bring in the visitors to parts of the region in desperate need of increased footfall. With fewer commuter trains running because of coronavirus, a regular tourist train can run along the Settle to Carlisle line for the first time in decades. Jane McCubbin's been one of the first passengers.
Step on board the Staycation Express, the very first timetabled tourist train in the country. Something this enthusiast,
I think I'm a bit more than a railway enthusiast. I think I might be the golden anorak.
this anorak is very enthusiastic about.
So this is purely for tourists, people that have got all day to spend just looking out the window and enjoying a railway journey.
The views are spectacular, right along the service from Skipton in Yorkshire to Appleby in Cumbria.
It's beautiful, yes.
You're getting some good shots there.
The Settle to Carlisle line, its many tunnels and viaducts, were built over 140 years ago, almost entirely by hand. Haunted tunnels give way to staggering scenery around the three peaks. Dedicated tourist trains might be common on the continent, not so here, and this part of the world really needs it. In Appleby, businesses are open for the tourists, but post-lockdown, the return has been slow.
Chris, I bet you never imagined you'd live through the first day of the summer holidays with no kids in this shop.
I've had two in this morning, both heading back to Middlesbrough, but yes, the rarity.
Two.
The town's become old all of a sudden.
This new service is all part of this slow return to normality, which they hope can help save summer here.
There's a huge post-COVID place for this sort of service because I think people are going to have more and more staycations, thus the name, the Staycation Express. And I think people are going to want to discover parts of the UK that they haven't seen before. I'm always staggered by how many people have never heard of this line, and when they see it, they're just absolutely mesmerised.
Jane McCubbin, BBC News.
Wow, that's lovely. Right, time for a weather now. Here's Emmanuel.
Hello, well, this morning was fine and dry, and it's going to be the same actually for the rest of today. The satellite image showing us just a bit of a cloud, which will eventually break. But of course, there is that high pressure, which is keeping things dry. There's a bit of a change on the way, which I'll tell you about in just a moment. For this afternoon, dry, those clouds will break, allowing for some sunshine, and we will have highs of around 19 degrees Celsius. Going into tonight, we do start to see the change as those clouds thicken, and that low pressure brings us some of that rain drifting into the region. But it will be mild with lows of around 11 degrees Celsius. So there's the outlook, that low pressure bringing us just a bit of a change. But as you can see, those temperatures staying around the high teens and the low 20s.
That's it from me and the lunchtime team. Thanks for watching. Roger and Elwine are back tonight at 6:30 here on BBC One. Until then, have a good afternoon. See you then. Bye-bye.